Happy holidays, Kris Bryant here. I wanted to read the first chapter of my upcoming book, Scent, which comes out January 1st at the BSB website, and I think it's January 12th everywhere else, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, all the other retail stores. This is the fourth book in my sensory series, the first being Taste, and then Touch, and then Listen, and now it's Scent. And the story is about a artist who also is part owner of a recycling company. And she has had two back-to-back really horrible relationships, so she's kind of girl shy. Whereas normally she's confident in everything else, but in the romance department, she just hasn't been very successful. And there's this woman that she wants to get to know, but she doesn't know how to do it. She's very shy and just doesn't know how to approach her. And so I'm going to start with the first chapter because I think it sums up what the book is going to be about, and it sets it up nicely for their story. Chapter 1. I'm sorry to do this, but I have to leave for another meeting, and I don't want to be late. I looked at my watch for effect, but I knew exactly what time it was and how long I had to catch the train. Only a few minutes, and I couldn't miss it. Any other day, sure, but not today. She caught the train only on Thursdays. I stood and nodded at the partners, and the sales staff circled around the conference table, all eyes on me and my interruption. I'll catch you up, Nico. Trish, my sister and part owner of Tufton Finley, winked at me from the center chair. Have a good night, everyone. I avoided Trish's smirk. She knew what I was doing and why I was in such a hurry. We had no secrets. I grabbed my messenger bag and my phone from my office on the way out the door. My reflection in the foyer mirror showed a slightly flustered woman in desperate need of a haircut, but still attractive. I didn't look my best, but it was the best I could do right now. I reached the platform with 2 minutes to spare. I smoothed the creases in my pants, tucked my shirt deeper into my waistband, and adjusted my belt so the buckle lined up perfectly with the buttons of my shirt. It was too hot to wear my blazer, so I carefully folded it over my bag and rolled up my sleeve to look as casually as possible. I was trying to impress a woman who didn't even know I existed. When the doors whooshed open, I slipped into the semi-air-conditioned car where the pungent smells of exhaust and metal pushed their way in as people rotated out. I caught a whiff of overused cologne from the suit who had just vacated my seat. For a moment, I considered moving, but I wanted to be in the same place I was the last 4 Thursdays. It was only a matter of time before she noticed the familiarity of me in the same seat week after week. I adjusted my bag under the bench and pulled out my tablet. I smiled when a book I'd started late last night popped on the screen. My day had been so hectic I had forgotten about it. I looked at my watch. We would be at her stop in 4 minutes, and she would ride it until 2 stops before mine. With my first show less than 3 months away, I needed extra studio time. To say I was nervous was an understatement. One of my pieces had been noticed outside a coffee shop during a news story about an up-and-coming neighborhood, and suddenly I was the next best artist in the greater Chicago area. I knew my fame wouldn't last, and my family really pushed me to ride the wave while I could. My watch buzzed. I looked at the message. Have you made contact? Trish's text made me smile. I picked up my phone and shot off a quick text. In T-minus 30 seconds. I added a thumbs up to show confidence, more for myself than for her. Maybe this time you should, say hi? We'll see. Ugh, don't make me ride the train with you next week and force you to talk to her, because you know I will. Trish was my champion. She was deliriously happy in her marriage and wanted the same thing for me. This unknown woman was the first one who made my heart beat faster in almost 2 years. When the train lurched to a stop, her stop, I tensed. I pretended to be engrossed in my book, but truthfully, I was using my peripheral vision to find her in the crowd. When I saw the familiar black heels on the ribbed floor in front of me, I looked up and held my breath. She looked at me. For the first time, we made eye contact. Her eyes were blue like mine, but lighter. My breath hitched and my stomach fluttered. Before I could smile, she looked away and took a seat on the same side, but in a different section. I closed my eyes and I waited. A sugary scent washed over me, and I smiled as the wave of sweetness washed me back to a childhood where my parents took us to Navy Pier on the weekends, and Trish and I gorged on cotton candy, caramel apples, and chocolate. She smelled delicious. Today it was definitely chocolate. Last week she smelled like buttercream frosting. With both hands, she kept a small white box held together with a red silky ribbon as if it were the most important thing in her life, resting on her knees. I glimpsed her through the people who sat and stood in the space between us. Her hair was long and straight, the color of dark honey. She looked cool and calm while I sat 15 feet away, holding my elbows away from my side for fear of sweating through my shirt. Even though the temperature inside the train wasn't bad, I was nervous because today I was going to talk to her. Maybe. Probably not. I sighed when I saw that she was wearing earbuds. Not that I had the courage to talk to her, but it was just another obstacle I could list when Trish asked me if I'd made my move, and I told her the same thing for the 5th week in a row. Is she there yet? She's wearing earbuds, and about 2 million people are standing between us. Or maybe I'm talking to her right now, and the buzzing is distracting. I answered Trish's text and waited for the backlash. That's bullshit. Walk, walk. I smell chicken. Chicken and eggs emojis followed her words. I don't even know what I'm doing or why I'm trying. I have to stay focused on my art. I don't have time to date. Total lie. I was busy, but I always had time for love and romance. It had just been too long, and I had forgotten to make it a priority. My phone rang. Well, now for sure I can't talk to her. I answered Trish's call with a low whisper. Maybe if I make you sound all important, she'll overhear the conversation, and you can impress her with your knowledge of whatever it is you do at Tuft and Finley. You're funny. Talking about myself probably isn't the best way to impress a woman. Tell me what I missed after I left, I said. Our company was growing, and things were starting to fall through the cracks. We needed to hire more people because we were already spread too thin. Tuft and Finley had started in college as an environmental recycle project that turned into a packaging company. We never thought it would grow into a profitable business. We all had different dreams and goals after college, but it was hard to walk away from its success. We were at the point where we wanted to sit back and relax a little, but we were working just as hard now as we did back then. We needed at least 5 new employees to pick up the slack. We went over a few resumes and scheduled interviews for a second shift warehouse manager, 2 office assistants, and an outside sales rep, since ours decided to get knocked up, Trish said. I laughed because she was referring to our partner, Anna Finley, who had just found out she was pregnant with twins. Come on. You know that you could do that job in your sleep. Yes, but that's exactly what I want, sleep. When was the last time we all had quality time away from the office? Trish asked. Didn't you just get back from Cancun last month? 4 days and we never left the room, but I don't consider that a vacation. The train went silent, right as I said. Stop it. I've heard you having sex before, and my virgin ears are still burning. I glanced at Thursday, fearful that she had heard me. She made eye contact and lifted her eyebrow. She had definitely heard. She and the 10 or so people between us. I noticed her earbuds were out. When was it ever quiet on the L? Shit. What? The noise level went back up. The whole world inside this car just heard me, including Thursday. I hated that I was too chicken shit to talk to her and find out her real name. Perfect. You have her attention. Now go over there and be wonderful you. Trish had more confidence in me than I did. I'll call you later. I quickly hung up and sneaked a peek at Thursday. She was back to being engrossed in whatever was on her phone. When the train stopped again and several people rotated out, I spotted available seats closer to her. I should have made my move, but it would have been ridiculous to leave a perfectly good seat near the door for one right next to her. Then it would have been obvious that I was trying. I sighed and shot off a text message. Mission aborted. I'll just enjoy the view when she exits the train. GIFs of people and animals fainting blew up my phone. Even though they made me smile, I felt a pang of sadness. My divorce from Mandy had destroyed me. I used to be confident and knew how to talk to women, but Mandy had ripped my heart and my confidence to shred. Trish had spent the last 18 months trying to build me back up. The only good thing that came from my dark, deep depression was my art. It was dark and radiated anger, but heartbreak sold. And I was using that negative energy to create more pieces for my show. Nothing was more appealing than a tortured artist's soul. Trip her! By mistake, I mean. Don't let her fall on her face. Oh, catch her! How romantic! I guess today isn't my day. No worries. There's always next week. I'm coming with you next time. I need to see what you've been working on anyway. How about you just drive over? I took the train only because my warehouse studio was in an industrial part of town. After I'd blown out my luxury sedan tires on nails and sharp metal pieces for the 3rd time, I gave up and started taking the L. My studio is right off the platform. The noise didn't bother me, and the rent was cheap. When I had to transport pieces, I used my 1978 Ford F-250 with wood panel siding and a beat-up bed. It was an eyesore, but Lucy was still reliable. I had her transmission replaced last year and upgraded from an unused 8-track to a satellite radio system. It was probably the most expensive thing about her. No thanks, I know all about the nail bombs, and I don't want my car stolen. I inserted an eye roll emoji. It's not that bad. I shared the bottom story of a warehouse equally with 3 other tenants. The second and third stories were blocked off. We all had our own locked studios, but had common space that housed a worn leather couch, 2 reclining chairs that didn't match, and 2 vending machines whose contents were questionable. I swore the same bag of Funyuns was in there for over a year. I donated a kitchen table with a bench and a refrigerator. Ben, the owner of the building, worked on cars. His overhead crane had rails that ran into my studio, and when I needed help to lift a piece onto Lucy's bed or a larger flatbed, he helped out. Sometimes we shared tools, but sometimes we wouldn't talk for weeks. The other 2 residents were artists too. One painted landscapes and played Ella Fitzgerald on loop. As much as I loved hearing it, I needed Ben's heavy metal when it was time to pound out my anger. The other neighbor was quiet and brooding. I caught glimpses of his black leather jacket and long black hair as he slipped in and out of his studio and nodded when our eyes met across the parking lot. He never talked much. Ben said he was a photographer, but I never saw him with a camera or any kind of equipment. I put my phone down when the train slowed for Thursday's stop. I looked up when she walked by me, hoping we'd make eye contact again, but she clutched her white box with both hands and strolled by me as if I wasn't even there. I leaned back and watched her step off the train and disappear into the rush hour crowd. Where was she going? This stop was an older neighborhood that had been upscaled decades ago, but once the suburbs of Chicago spread out, it was quickly forgotten. It lacked modern conveniences like Starbucks and fast food joints, but boasted Italian bakeries and diners that were open 24 hours. I had no idea where she was going, but I decided that one day I was going to find out. So that is the first chapter for Scent. I certainly had an interesting time writing it. I enjoyed the final product, and I certainly hope that you do as well. Happy holidays. Bye.